Poppy Playtime has some highs and it has some lows. In this video, I'm going to go through one thing I hate about every single Poppy Playtime chapter. So with that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So let's begin with chapter 1, and the thing I hate most about chapter 1 is honestly how short the chapter is. Now I know that chapter 1 wasn't really meant to be a fully fledged experience, it was more of a test to see if Poppy Playtime was actually going to be successful, but this chapter has so much mystery and just the kind of slow paced building that they were doing with Huggy really worked effectively in this chapter. I even think that this chapter's chase, including Huggy's, was one of the best in the whole series, and I wish that that was more emphasized in the chapter. And I think the main thing is I wanted to see more of the first level of the factory. I feel like we go straight down way too quickly. It's like we don't get enough time to actually see what's around this building. The chapter itself can easily be beaten in about 20 minutes, and that's a first time player can probably do that. So overall, the chapter is extremely quick, and I wish that it was longer so that we could actually explore what's going on. Moving on to chapter 2, the thing I hate most about it is honestly how little Mummy Longlegs is actually in the game. Now I know that she appears a lot in this chapter, but honestly we don't get enough of, I guess, the chases with Mummy. She kind of appears at the end for a really small brief period of time, and you get a really quick chase that doesn't last too long. I think Mummy Longlegs for me is by far the most fear-inducing character in Poppy Playtime, and to see her barely used in her own chapter was quite disappointing to say the least. Even the final chase itself didn't last too long and was nowhere near the same quality as Huggy Wuggy's, although in chapter 2 there's more moving parts in it, including PJ Pugapilla and also Bonzo Bunny. Therefore, I feel like Mummy wasn't really the focus on chapter 2, she was more the overarching evil in the chapter. But it would have been nice if we actually got to saw her more, and I guess if we actually had more times and instances where she actually attacked the player instead of sitting in a random room blabbering a bunch of random stuff. For chapter 3, the thing I hate most about it is honestly how quickly Nightmare Huggy goes away. I mean, this character was severely hyped up in the trailer, we got a whole section of it being there, and it kind of felt that the whole inclusion of this character was very brief, and it was, I guess, serving the whole red gas and the effects it does on the player. But this character is by far one of my favorite designs in the series, and to see this character literally go in about 20 seconds of you first seeing it was again extremely disappointing. Like, I'm not expecting them to pull a whole section of us inside the vision in the red gas, but it would have been nice if this character was actually able to chase us. I mean, if being chased by normal Huggy was terrifying, then I think Nightmare Huggy would have genuinely made me Alt F4. It was that terrifying first seeing it. Chapter 3 is also a bit of a hard one because this chapter is by far the highest quality chapter I think we've received in Poppy Playtime as a whole. Like, I don't think we've actually gone to chapter 3's heights ever since its release, which is again actually pretty disappointing. But yeah, if there's one thing I have to say about chapter 3 that could have been improved, this is definitely that thing. Moving on to chapter 4, and oh my, I have a lot to say about this chapter, but the thing I hate most is honestly the 2-hit system when you get jump scared. If you're not aware, in chapter 4, they introduced a new mechanic, and basically when you get jump scared, you now actually get hit, like you lose a certain amount of health. Adding a health bar inside Poppy Playtime isn't the end of the world, I don't think, but the inclusion of it does actually, in my opinion, detract from the immersiveness. Like, when a toy attacks you, you think that that's the end, like there's no way of you surviving. And in this chapter, that whole thing is flipped on its head, because now what? You get hit and it's okay? I'm happy that Yarnaby and Dolly actually end your game. When it comes to Sawyer's minions, the doctor things, these animatronic things, they are menacing, and the fact that they can hit you and you can still stay alive for me was extremely disappointing. Like, I don't get why they just can't end your game instantly. Now, this isn't the biggest critique, and I can't lie, sometimes getting hit and still having to run can make the thing more immersive, but I wish that they kind of scratched this idea, especially for the critters, which in this chapter basically they don't do anything. Basically, they hit you and you take a bit of damage and that's it. Basically making them nowhere near as terrifying as chapter 3's. And lastly, for chapter 5, the thing I hate most about it is honestly the design of Lily's castle. Now this one isn't based off Lily's design, and I can't lie, I don't think it's the worst design in the world. I get it's nowhere near as terrifying as the previous entries in Poppy Playtime, but I think the biggest insult in chapter 5 is the inclusion of a whole castle, a toy one to be exact. Like, first of all, why would Poppy Playtime build a massive castle so far down in the facility? It makes literally no sense. And next of all, the castle has no personality. There's no mystery in this castle, I guess, beside Gracie, which is by far my favorite part of the whole castle. But beside that, it's just empty rooms that literally provide no sense of immersion or no sense of exploration for the player. And I think the whole horror aspect is completely missing in this chapter. I mean, we are so far down in the facility. We've seen things that we should never have seen. And what, now you're telling me there's a massive castle that has no like mystery or nothing? That to me is underwhelming. And even outside the castle, when I saw this area for the first time in my playthrough, I sat there and thought, what the actual am I looking at? Like, it's kind of got that Garden of Banban feel, and no discredit to that game, nor to Poppy Playtime, but I feel like that doesn't actually make me scared. That just goes, okay, we're in a massive toy playground. What am I going to expect? And to add on to that, this chapter has way too many puzzles. It feels like they've really bloated these later chapters to make them longer. But what ends up happening is the actual sections that have quality, like the chases, the, encounters, these things are far and few in between each other. And all we get instead of that is puzzles, and it just doesn't really add anything. It's just too much. I wish that they kind of went and made the chapter shorter and reduced the amount of puzzles just to make things more fun. Because having a million puzzles to complete can sometimes just be overwhelming, in my opinion. But anyways, that's about it. What did you guys think of this video? I know these things are small critiques because overall, I think Poppy Playtime has a lot of quality compared to its shortcomings. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, smash a like. And if you never want to miss out on a future upload, then please consider subscribing as well. And on screen here is the worst jump scare inside every single Poppy Playtime chapter. So if you want to check that out, it's on screen here. But anyways, until next time, take it easy and goodbye.